I just had to remind them who they were. I just had to remind everybody who we are, who these guys are, what we were coming to get here. Win or lose, we never worried about that approaching every day. Beginning of every day, we never worried about win or loss. We just worry about how we're going to go out there, have fun, compete, be right there for the guys next to us, and not take this situation for granted. So I just had to remind them that, man, I'm proud of them. I say it all the time, but I'm proud of these guys.
Here's the 0-1. This is going to be a tough play. Bryant, the Cubs, with the right series. Bryant makes the play. It's over. And the Cubs have finally won it all. 8-7-10.
Oh, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary.
Usually sing along, but I don't want to embarrass myself in front of our esteemed guest here today inside the Old National Bank studio. We got plenty to talk about with the Bears, and we'll get to everything on the trade deadline. Justin Fields, Chase Claypool both spoke today. Brian Urlacher, the Hall of Famer, will join us coming up at 4:30, but it is our pleasure to welcome in to the studio one of our favorite guys. Like this show for over 15 years, what we have done and what we have loved about this show is establishing the relationships with the great players and the great people of the Chicago teams. And that's what we love. And we have had great conversations throughout the years with Jason Heyward. And anybody that you speak to about Jason Heyward, they always mention how he's one of the best teammates ever. And it is our pleasure. I think this is the first time we've ever had him in studio.
I believe so.
He's always made time for us before games, after games, on the road, at home, no matter what. And he's a perennial Gold Glove winner. He's a World Series champion. And he joins us right now on the Waddle Silvy show. Jay, hey, how you feeling today? Happy anniversary.
Wow. Appreciate that, Silv. What an intro. But no, absolutely awesome being here with you guys. What a setup. This is super cool. Obviously from my perspective, and you get to hear the radio, we get to talk on the phone, but seeing this view you guys got of the city, to me, it's every bit of why you guys are a part of the Pulse and heartbeat of the sports. And again, just really cool to be here on today on the anniversary.
We apologize for any of the nonsense that may go on over the next 30, 40 minutes because it does happen on a daily basis, but it is a tremendous seat to sit in here.
Oh, you guys earned that. So I hope I get to see some of that today here with you, for sure.
It's good real estate. I'm always jealous whenever I'm sitting in Chicago Cut and I see the Jay Hay boat go by on the Chicago River, and I'm always waving down, Jay Hay. What is your favorite spot in the city of Chicago as far as like building wise, architecture wise, park wise? Because like the thing that I've always liked about you is you've made this city yours. Like it's not just been about playing at Wrigley Field. It's been about the city for you.
No doubt.
So what is your favorite spot in this city?
I feel like when I'm riding through the Chicago River with the family, with some friends, that's a really cool moment because it kind of makes me feel like we're not in this country, like, and when I say not in this country, just in general, like, my wife and I had a chance to go to Italy last off season in October, and going through Rome, going through Florence made me appreciate Chicago that much more because of how much culture is here. So just being able to taste a little bit of everyone's culture here, rolling through, getting an architecture tour on my birthday, from the lake, from the river, super cool. But to me, I have a hard time picking a favorite because I just want to take it all in every time. And every time we head back home, you're like, wait, we got to go home now.
Yeah.
We don't get to see it any longer.
So will you make Chicago your home going forward? Do you love the city that much, or will it depend on what's ahead for you?
I mean, with how fast this time flew by playing here, I can't say that I can guarantee where we'll be, but I would love to be in Chicago, and continue to make it home. We've kind of stayed in the same neighborhood since I've been here in 2016, stayed in Gold Coast. Super easy to, how it is, walk around, get coffee, get something to eat, just be a part of the city. But by all means, still have unfinished business here to do in the city with the baseball academy, with other relationships that I've made here that I just love being a part of every day.
I want to talk to you about the academy. I want to get to the anniversary of what we just played and hearing you. Is that someone with
the Jay Hay jersey?
See, this is what's
cool. It won't be the last time you'll see somebody like that run by.
That is so dope.
Right on State Street, someone came by wearing a Jason Heyward jersey, Cubs jersey. And so It was, I was saying to Waddle, and we were both there for game 7. It was a Wednesday in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost the same weather for a November 2nd to have 70 degrees. It's so rare. And to have it on the same day, weather like this. So when you take this in and it almost brings you back to 6 years ago, what goes through the memory banks on a day like today?
Just how much of a blur it was, because we had so much fun, because we enjoyed every moment. We didn't take it for granted. I felt like that group, I don't want to say we partied hard, but we played baseball so hard that year. The fans being there for that moment. Game 1 and 2 in Cleveland, you could feel the Cubs fans there, but game 7, unbelievable. Just, we were at Wrigley Field up until the home run, right, where things got a little dicey as far as checking everyone's temperature again. But bringing it back to reality, just being able to clinch that game, unbelievable. And this also kind of takes me back to the parade. We weren't sure we were going to get warm weather, cold weather. That morning at Wrigley pulling in, it was actually kind of chilly. But then when we got out and rode around through the city, finally made it over to Millennium and Grant Park, it was a beautiful day, just like this one.
When you think about that entire season, like obviously when your season ends in a championship, it's a special season. But if you think about it, was there just more fun on a day in and day out basis in 2016 than maybe other seasons you've played in?
I mean, personally, it was a grind. It was a hell of a grind. My numbers on the field, I feel like, reflected that grind. But at the same time, all of us, obviously, we were super present in each moment, and it did make it fun.
Yeah.
It did make it fly by. Just there would be days where I could see, we were up 3 runs going into the 9th inning, and I've seen other teams kind of shut it down. No, we went for 5 more.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, being down by 6 runs in the 8th inning, somehow Cubbies find a way to come back and win by 2.
Yeah.
Just because we didn't stop playing, we didn't stop having fun with each other, didn't stop holding each other accountable. It was just all a game within a game, and we never let one moment go by.
When you say it was a blur, when you do zoom in and sort of examine that game, are the high points of that game more memorable, like early on, getting out in front, Dex leading off with a home run, Javi, David Ross doing what he did, or is it Rajai Davis and the camera spinning around? Like, I have that as a Cub fan and a nervous Cub fan. LeBron's on the Jumbotron flex,
shirtless in the Jumbotron.
It's the worst. Like, the greatest moment of my Cubs fan life is that day. The worst moment of my sports fan life was within that game. At that moment, I flip Waddle off. And
like I threw the pitch,
He told me everything was going to be okay. The next thing you know,
just because he's from Ohio, that's why you flipped him off.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I was trying to console him. I told him all along that Andrew Miller was gettable because he had pitched too many innings, and you guys were going to get to him. I said, "Don't worry about it. You're going to be fine." I'm trying to be a friend and a colleague.
I respect it.
But
then
Chapman
he told me that Chapman may be a little bit worn out.
He's worn out.
I said, "Don't worry about it."
And then little Rajai Davis goes deep, and then I see
fault.
LeBron, and I'm a Michael guy, and I'm flipping him off.
Yeah.
I went back to my 12-year-old self having a little bit of a panic attack.
Well, first off, I will say, on the brick wall outside of Wrigley, LeBron that night, he did earn his name being put on there. There was some FU LeBron. That's what it ended up being.
Okay.
But he earned that. But to me, that's, he's a sports great. You get that recognition. But I have to say that game 7, leaving the hotel until the end of the game felt like one season.
Wow.
The whole game felt like one season.
It went by that quick, but it still felt like one season because after game 6, you're like, obviously we won, so you just repeat whatever you did the day before. And this is everyone, training staff, coaching staff, obviously players, clubbies, whatever. If you're on the Cubbies, you do whatever you did the day before. And then you go out to the game, and it just felt kind of eerie. Like, all right, like, we know we're going to play. Like, what are we waiting around for?
Right.
What else we got to talk about? This is game 7.
Was every inning almost like a game in itself, or how did your emotions treat you over the course of each and every inning?
I mean, I actually just saw him in person, grew up with him, known him since I was 14, Dexter Fowler. you go, we go. That was the beginning of that game. And him just being Dex, not letting the moment get too big for him, having fun and pointing back at the dugout as he's rounding first base, like that was amazing. We didn't think, right away, it's in the bag, because that's just not who we are as a group. But we just thought, all right, like Dex is having fun, we're having fun.
Right.
Our favorite story it was first surfaced, I think, in Verducci's book.
Mm-hmm.
And we've gotten other Cubs players to talk about it. Arrieta has shared it. I think Schwarber through the years has shared it. Is Rizzo doing the Rocky dance, I think, in his boxers or naked? Every game 5, 6, and then 7, there was like a little bit of a weird thing that happened. Do you remember that story?
What was the weird thing that happened in game 7? Because to me, when I think of Tony, I think he's just as advertised. Like, he's got it wherever he goes.
All right. So first of all, you tell me what happened in game 5 and game 6.
We'll tell you the story that we've told.
Yeah.
Okay.
Game 5, Tony comes in wearing his, it's not a Kangol. Excuse me for not knowing what it's called, but the hat, the Italiano hat.
Yeah.
And he's like, he just watched Rocky 1, 2, 3. He's doing the pumps already as he's walking to his locker. And that volume, just as Tony does, just gradually turned up throughout the day. And Tony hits a double. He's on second base. Boom, boom. Here we go. Giving it to the dugout, giving it to the fans. And that just continued to build up momentum, right, through Cleveland, through game 7. But game 6, I don't remember if he was the same guy game 6 as he was game 7. Game 7, it got better, quote unquote. Depends on what you want to see before a game. But Tony Rizzo, I guess we can talk about it. We can talk about it. It's the anniversary. We can talk about it. We're in the clubhouse, so to speak. Yeah, Tony was naked on the table with the theme music. But then someone kind of had enough of it a little bit and went and let him know. And I think Tony fell. But it still was just perfect Tony, because he was doing his thing, being the leader of that damn team, one of the many, but the captain. And, bro, we just lost it. Like, Dex lost it. I lost it. The three of us that year, like, we gave each other shit nonstop. But seeing him fall on that table, it was just like, all right, bro, game 7, game 8, whatever. Let's fucking go Cubs.
Yeah. we were told that Rondon, like, sprayed him with shoe polish.
There we go. Yeah. It was Ronnie.
So that's true.
That's 100% true. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Oh, that's awesome if you're not Rizzo getting sprayed with shoe polish. But from our perspective, sitting here getting to be able to hear the story, that's fantastic.
These are the untold stories are the best.
Well, the great thing is like, how locker rooms are. You hear things, but once they're confirmed by the guys that are in the locker room that witnessed it for real, that makes it even more fun.
See, he had his angle. He wanted to have a certain impact. Yeah. And then Tony got rewarded a little bit more. It had an even greater impact after Ronnie came in and took part.
That's amazing.
How much were you guys inspired by Schwarber being actually even able to play in that series, knowing that the injury was as dramatic as it was, to be able to come back and actually participate?
And there he is right there, right above you.
Love it.
Like, he's the best too.
Fortunately, I got to see him as well in September before they, left town or whatever. They were playing the Cubbies. And to me, Schwarb doing that, like, everyone, we were that team, and we always talk about it, I'm sure all the guys, we were the epitome of who's going to do it tonight. First inning, last inning, whatever. Someone just wants a piece of it. We don't have to be the whole hero. Him coming in from Arizona on a private jet to play in the World Series, couldn't play all year. It just amplified that much more.
Yeah.
And it was kind of emotional, but at the same time, it's just like, all right, Schwarb's is here, so what's our excuse? To come in and be a team player. And then he couldn't even play. In Wrigley, he couldn't play because he couldn't DH at the time because he still had the knee.
He had a football injury. To be able to come back from the injury that he suffered had to be inspiring to everybody.
It set an amazing tone.
Yeah. More conversations with Jay Hay. He is here till about 3:30, and one of the best guys there is. Stories galore. He'll tell you about his baseball academy here in the city as well. We'll continue those conversations. We got to get into the speech, obviously, as well. All that coming up next.
Ready. The 2-2 pitch. There's a drive deep right. Cubs win! Cubs slam by Heyward. I guess he hit it over Herrera's head. How sweet does that feel for Jason Heyward? Pile on, boys!
There you go. Jason Heyward in studio in the Old National Bank studio right here on State Street. And so you're going to be a free agent this offseason, right?
Correct.
How does that feel, and how do you reflect on the 6 years here in Chicago?
Time flies. I felt like it was just 2010 when I was, as I kind of mentioned in my Players Tribune article, that we walked into Gibson Steakhouse in Gold Coast right there, and I came outside after we went in and saw a different Chicago. So these 6 years, it's not easy to play for a fan base who gets it, who cares about every game. Talking about from like February 20th, though, coming from Atlanta, even St. Louis, Orlando, Jupiter. All right, fellas, we're in spring training now.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get loose, get your bodies ready, get your mind ready, work on your drills. You get to Mesa, it's like, bro, we're trying to win pitch one. Like, we play the White Sox, like, what's going on? Like, get them over, get them in. From the fan perspective, it's awesome, but at the same time, just understanding, like, hey, like, this is the same game. It's just a better audience, a better city, better place to do it. And that's why I say it just flew by with the day games, with the weather, with playing so many winning games and playing in the postseason, especially heavy, obviously, at the beginning of that 6 years. That's what I got.
Yeah.
It flew by.
Is it how would you compare playing at Wrigley and in this city on a day in and day out basis versus other places, whether you were visiting there or in previous stops?
81 home games at Wrigley. I don't know how many day games are in that, but those days really fly by in itself because it's tough as a ball player where you get home from the road, you had some night games, you have a little more time. The day games, you don't have time. You just get to the field and you're like, we're in Wrigleyville, we got a game in hour 30. Here we go.
You think that's a disadvantage for you guys versus other teams that may not have the same schedule?
I say both.
Yeah.
I say both. The mentality is an advantage I feel like that we have, just getting out there on the field, get what you need beforehand, and then you get welcomed by Wrigley faithful,
Right.
Which is amazing every single time. It's like, obviously we're playing baseball, but it's just like a day vibe. Very, very nice day party, pre-gaming yourself into the weekend. But at Wrigley, you don't always have to wait till the weekend. But when you get home from a road trip, you want to get clothes together, you want to get a haircut, you want to be a human being and just get situated. No, like, we're here to play baseball.
Right.
Well, you mentioned it being a grind at times. In
Mhm.
2016, it was a grind. You had several great moments. You had some times that weren't great moments. The fans, though, were always good to you?
The fans were always real to me. I don't think that I can ever say anywhere I played that the fans have been. I feel like playing at home in Atlanta, it was a little unrealistic just because I'm from there. Like, hey, you're one of our own, like, this and that. Certain expectations when it comes to that off the field. But playing here, always real to me. No one was ever unrealistic. I think it's always that perspective as an athlete or entertainer. Everyone is outside looking in, and they'll never have our viewpoint, our vantage point as a player, but always real to me. If I need to be someone needed to let me have it, they let me have it. If not, if I did something worth applauding, they applauded, but and some. And to me, that's what was so amazing about playing here. People ask me what I think about Wrigley fans or Cubs fans. Genuine,
Right?
The most genuine.
And you're good. Like a lot of people aren't good with, oh, you don't know what it's like. Like you said, you don't always have the inside look. People don't like it all to be booed, and a lot of people vocalize that. But you say it's cool to be real. If you deserve it, you're cool with it.
Absolutely. They're in the game. They're paying attention.
Right.
They're here to see the Cubs win. And when I say that about getting to Mesa and like they're like, let's go, it's real. And that's a cool thing to have, to know you're setting foot. Same way I have my whole life playing this game of baseball. Every game I got ready for and prepared for, took the time, practice leading up to, I was playing to win that game that day. And these fans, they're playing to win the game with us, but also they're in it for every good moment.
Right.
This past year in 22, I think it was broke the Braves like winning streak. I think they were at 17 games. Cubbies win 1-0. And a lot of guys, it was their first year coming in that clubhouse after a game like that, and they say, "Man, that felt like a game 7." I'm like, it wasn't a game 7. It wasn't.
Yeah.
But if you build it, they'll come. You know, feel the dreams. Like if you give them something to cheer for, they'll be right there.
How
waiting.
about a big contract in sports is the reward for being a hell of a player? Does it also bring pressure, internal pressure, because you're trying to prove each and every day that you're worth the contract that you sign? And I would assume the question would be valid for all sports, not just baseball.
Most definitely. The way I really believe that I feel about it is that this is where I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to win that bad for this city, for this fan base. I love playing at Wrigley that much. And things that we love, I kind of compare it to being a dad. Like, when you let them down, you take it hard. And I think that was the toughest part for me. Is like, I wanted to be here, taking less money to come to this team, having a glimpse of what it's like to play in St. Louis, which was a really fun year, a really good group, and saying, I want to be in Chicago. That was the toughest part for me, because I could go and probably write a book on contract stuff. But, I mean, I don't think everyone has a full picture. I grew up in Georgia, raised in McDonough, got drafted out of high school 2007 by the Braves, 14th overall. Make it to the major leagues at 20 years old, home run first at bat. Hank Aaron throws out the first pitch to me. All these things leading up, you're like, oh, hold on, wait a minute. But I wanted to stay in Atlanta forever. That was my reality at the time. But as we all know, there's a business side to this, and it just happened to lead me to being 26 years old as a free agent, heading into free agency with some pretty good options.
You could say that. That was fine.
Some pretty good options as a free agent, and coming to Chicago, and just the timing being perfect of us having a good team, Joe coming over, obviously the players that were on that roster, and the other guys that signed Samuel I did. It was just, so to me, again, like I said, that was the toughest part of any down moment. We're always going to fail. When I failed here, it was tougher because I cared that much about making it a good place.
He's such a good storyteller, and he's got so many more. And we wanted to find out more about the story of Game 7 and the speech, and we'll do that coming up next. Jason Heyward in the Old National Bank studio.
Funkier now than he used to look. Drives that ball in the air out into deep right center. Heyward is back on it, and did he catch it? He did, but he's hurt. Oh man. What a catch by Heyward, but his health is all that matters.
Unbelievable play. You just got talking about how good the Cubs are defensively, and since he's come into the league, nobody has saved more runs than Jason Heyward. This is just a spectacular play, willing to give up the body.
And obviously, he'll be done for the night. It's a nice hand from all the fans here at AT&T Park. Restart had to come out. Here is Heyward. Made the catch. And even Bauer has to smile at that. He climbed the wall and had to reach behind him. He was prepared to go in the stands. You see him reach up and come back and get it.
Never forget that catch right there. That was Game 5. That was a must-win. It's win or go home.
Yep.
Right field line, going to the wall, the field for the wall first, and then going back to make the catch.
I have to ask this question with that in context. Better feeling for you as a Gold Glove center fielder, wherever you are in the outfield, right field, or wherever you're at in the outfield. Is it more satisfying to make a catch that will save your team runs, or more satisfying to get a big hit at the dish that helps plate a few runs?
I will say this. It's more satisfying to get a big hit at the dish because your team built up to that moment, right? Like, guys got you to that spot, especially with people on. The innings coming out of nowhere. It's like, all right, like, let me add to this and kind of, make it easier for the next dude. But the catches that win the game, there's nothing better than a catch that wins the game.
That's the pinnacle.
Leaving it all on the line, too, that I just heard it as we were coming back in, that catch in San Francisco. That's the favorite catch of my life.
Really?
That is.
Right there. Favorite catch of my life, because that's the way I started playing center field when I was younger, 10 years old. Going back, I hope I had to run far. And I just so happened to have to run far and made the play.
Yeah, that was a crazy catch. Jason Heyward in studio with us, Waddle and Silvy on ESPN 1000. All right, so let's drill down a little bit in this. We've heard the stories. You wrote about it in the Player Tribune piece. Anyone who has not read it, it was about a month ago, after the end of your Cubs career, about your time in Chicago. First of all, there were amazing stories about Chicago and the connection you felt as a young player, even in Atlanta, about Chicago was different. I think you alluded to it too about Gibson's. And then you talked about the speech, and it's always talked about, like Waddle even was goofing around that, like this 17-minute rain delay.
Yeah, I don't know that there's ever been a 17-minute rain delay, another 17-minute rain delay in Major League Baseball history, has there?
I mean, no idea.
That's got to be the shortest rain delay in Major League Baseball history.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Is that a gift? Was that a gift, first of all? Did that have to happen?
It was meant to happen. I don't know about have to happen. It was just meant to happen.
What are you thinking when they say, play is halted?
As I'm coming in from third base right there, I'm thinking I got to say something. I have to say something. And I'm like, oh, it's raining? Well, now I have a chance to say something and take my time getting it out.
Yeah.
Get my thoughts together, get everyone together without being sporadic. And that's it. It was just meant to be.
So what made you, what was the indicator that you needed to say something? Was it hanging heads? When did you know that you needed to say something?
I think it's always been a part of me to feel the group that I'm with. Over time, obviously in the Game 7, it's the end of the year. So this was, my team as far as my teammates, my guys. I know what makes them go. I have a feel for everybody. I knew at that moment everyone was going to be down because all year long, we didn't care if we won or lost, didn't care if we were down, up. We were going to play the game through and through. But at that time, it felt like something else happened to where no one was expecting it. And I got to say this, life's not fair. The game's not fair. Managing's hard. But to be on third base, knowing that Javi had already hit a homer off of Kluber that game, off of a cutter. Now I'm on third base, less than 2 outs. There's another cutter guy on the mound, and Shaw, 3-2 count. We get the safety squeeze. And as a baseball guy, baseball fan, whatever you want to call it, I'm like, it's a tough safety squeeze right here for a guy who's got a homer and who's your NLCS, co-MVP. He's already showed what he can do in a big moment, whatever. And to me, when that didn't go through for Hav, for that ball to be fouled off and be strike 3, still believing after that happened with 2 outs, I'm like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it. Dex hits that ball up the middle. Lindor makes a heck of a play going to first base. I'm like, all right, that's that. It just felt like to me that it needed to happen. We needed a reset. Everyone was on the same page, but the wrong page at the time, and that's not like a judgmental. It's just like, I felt everyone was down. We didn't know where we were going to go next, but it was kind of simple. Like, just be us. Like, I need to see that. I don't give a anymore right now. Like, that's.
Were you surprised when you looked in the eyes of these guys that have played the way that you said that they played all year long and see kind of like a stunned look coming back at you?
I wasn't surprised, no, because it was just in reality, like any human would feel how they felt, right? But I don't think anyone believed more than me that whole season that we were going to win the World Series, especially how things had gone for me. I'm like, offensively, it's a tough year. Had some highs, had some walk-off, knocks, this and that, contributed at times, but obviously defense, winning a Gold Glove that year on a team that was very outstanding defensively, like that was my role, base running, being a good teammate, helping the young dudes out, just being there. And feeling that pulse, I didn't have to look anyone in the eye.
Right.
I just felt it. I was like, yeah, they're all like scratching their heads right now. Like, where do we go next? Like, what just happened? I'm like, nah, whatever just happened. Like, the same thing we always say. Like, all right, so what next? Next pitch. We don't care. Obviously, we want to win. I think that was probably the toughest part is that was the first game. Not the first game we wanted to win, but that was the first game. Like, bro, if we don't win this game, like, it's it. We came all this way and we failed.
You mentioned the part about the safety squeeze, and we have heard this story, and Arrieta confirmed it on the air, and it's kind of like the Rizzo story. Like all the years that go by, we've always heard whispers that, hey, Jed and Theo were saying this to somebody, and so told us, and then Arrieta confirmed this. This was more about, hey, don't let the manager screw this up for us, the players. Took out Hendricks too soon, gave a dirty inning to Lester, took out Lester too soon, screwed Chapman over the day before, went with Chapman too long, called the stupid safety squeeze, screw the manager, let's win it for ourselves. Players only. True?
And to me, 13 years in, that has to be the mindset every single day, no matter what. And that's what that meeting was about. Like, this, it's not an excuse what happened from the manager, because every team has that all year long. All year long, things don't go our way. All year long, the manager has our best interest at heart, but some things don't work out the way he wanted it to go. So what, bro? Like, nobody's gonna say that at the end of the day. Like, not on the team. No one's gonna feel okay saying, "Oh, well, our manager did this, so we're on 109 years now," right? Like, no, that wasn't good enough for this group, to me. And that's just what I wanted to remind them, that same stuff. Like, let's go. Stuff happens all along. Do what we always do. We don't care, bro. Next. We still
How
got
would
more
you
baseball to
describe
play.
your tone? Was it angry? Was it inspirational? How would you describe your message, how you delivered your message to the guys?
Inspirationally
Angry.
pissed and emotional. Had to keep it real. But I think it's been awesome for me over time, from the first day I played for Joe to the last day where we, gave each other a hug at Busch Stadium in that dugout. It's been amazing getting to know him, because he's a baseball genius, and I've told him that. He's a baseball genius. Like, this guy, the way he prepares for the game, he really studies the other team. He studies his players. Like, you talk about someone knowing their group, he knows the group. But then, now watching one of my better friends in life, David Ross, come into the managerial position, there were things that I already knew about being a manager, but now the fact that I get to see him have to go through it and live it, you're getting things coming at you from every single which way. And so when you get in that moment, the heat of battle, if you try to prepare beforehand, all that's fine. But then when you get out there, you're like, all right, bro, like, do I want to do this? Do I not? Like, I know what they said, but I know what I'm going to say. And so that's why I respect Joe in that sense. But he'll be the first person to say he's not anything without the players.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Joe loves some Joe. He should love some Joe. He should love some Joe, though.
Too cute, though, at times?
I don't think it's too cute. I think with that group, you had the right mix of veterans. You had the right mix of guys that had came from other teams, myself, Zobrist, Miggy Montero, Rossi. We can go down a list of guys, Lester Lackey, Dex, all that stuff. And then you had the young guys, Hobb, Schwarb, KB,
Willie.
Addy, Willie. Like, those guys, CJ Edwards needed to see thinking outside the box with a veteran team that knew how to win. And that's why I think nobody better for that group right there than Joe Madden.
Did it affect all of that, the relationship that individual players had with Joe going forward after that? Even though you guys win the championship, was there a different kind of relationship for different people with the manager because of what you had experienced?
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah.
Like 100%. But to me, do you want to win, or do you want to go home and be like, we're on year 109 now?
Right.
And that's the reality of it. In my last interview at Wrigley this year, I said, a lot of winning, but there's a debt to be paid for that. And that was our reality. Either you get it done or you figure out how to do it another way next year. Good luck coming back from 3-1 with a group that won 103 games in regular season.
Play radio with us now. We had a big debate in our pre-show fist fight.
Okay.
If you don't win that game and you lose in a heartbreaking fashion, are we on 114 years?
No.
You would have been able to bounce back from that terrible Game 7 loss and won in 17 or 18 or 19?
Yes, because, and I got to give the people credit, attitude reflects leadership, starting with Tom in spring training, being in that room, and he's like, hey, like, we have a really good ball club. What the team did last year, so impressed. We want to do it this year.
Mm-hmm.
He said the same exact thing in 17 after we did win it. But hearing that from Tom and then going on to Theo holds himself accountable. And if he fails, he would have made some moves, made some adjustments, and did what he had to do to help us get it done. When you look at trading Glaber for Chapman, right? trading. I think there was 2 guys in that trade, but to get Chapman, and then
David Flom. There he is.
Chicago
Best.
Cubs.
You knew
Yeah.
he was going to show up.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He got the
And look at
food.
the ride he's in, too.
That's outstanding. I got to give him a shout out.
Yeah.
I got to
Oh,
give him a
yeah,
shout
you
out.
know he was gonna arrive.
Summertime shy.
Yeah.
Mr. David Flom
From Chicago Cup providing the food for J-Head here.
Look at that.
That
That's
is love.
fabulous.
That is
What would
love.
you call that? That's like an aqua, not even an aqua blue. It had a little green in it
Is
as
that
well.
is that a Mustang?
I think
What
that was
it?
an SS.
Okay.
But no. So Theo holds himself accountable, making that trade for Chapman, and then coming into 17 after we did win it all, he trades Jorge Soler, who's 2021 at World Series MVP, for Wade Davis. And then you go get a closer like Wade, who was absolutely outstanding that year. You saw what he did all year long. Failed one time at the end of the regular season, then in the postseason did his thing. To me, there was just always going to be that, hey, if I didn't get it right, we're going to go back and get it right the next time. With Tom, with Theo, they were very open to us. So I think, if anything, winning it in 16 did make it harder.
You got to the top of the mountain when if you look at this team from the outside in or from the inside, however you want to look at it, the climb is beginning again. Are they on the right path, in your opinion?
Are they on the right path? I can't say right path, wrong path. It's going to be their path, because if you ask them in 2011, 2012, when they come in 100 loss season, I think Riz signed his first deal after a 100 loss season. Are they on the right path? I know what the intent is, but just like I said in my press conference at the end, it's not going to take as much as they think it's going to take. I mean, you need pitching, you need defense, but for any team, out here paying attention, in my 13-year career, every single year the World Series champion has been the team, in my opinion, that has been the least analytic heavy, as far as who plays. I mean, I don't want to bore you. Got Giants 2010, St. Louis 2011, Giants obviously again in 12, Boston in 13, would just figure out how to get it done. 14, Giants again, 15, Kansas City, 16, of course, the Cubbies, 17, who wasn't 17.
Yeah, the cheaters, right?
18, Boston again. They reappeared. 19, you got DC, who to me was a very impressive World Series, playing with a group of vets mixed in with some young guys, believing in that heartbeat. Got to give Davey Martinez a shout out there. Of course, 2020, the Dodgers, to me, that is the example of analytics will work in doses. 60-game season. I'm not taking away from the championship, but just the fact that, of course things work out when you don't have to play in Atlanta for that series. You play in Texas.
Right.
You don't have to play in Tampa. You play in Texas. You don't have to make the travel. You don't have to deal with the anxiety, all those things. But you saw what happened in 2021. Similar team, maybe even a little bit better, goes to play in Atlanta. Atlanta got it.
Yeah.
And they almost had it then. So no, I just think, as far as their track with where the Cubbies are right now, they got a lot of good pieces, I believe, but I think they're going to need the opportunity to grow, and go play and see how good they are.
Speaking of growing, tell us about the academy. Where is it? How can people help, and why? Why is this important to you?
First off, it's important to me because the opportunity came to me organically in 2020. Tough year for everyone, I feel like, on the face of the earth, but in a city like Chicago, where there's so much poverty in certain areas, people need to see positive signs. People needed to come together. And I was fortunate enough to be a part of a group of athletes and people that came together. We went to the neighborhood in Austin, partnered with the nonprofit By the Hand Club. And I have to give these guys, some of these guys off the top of my head, Austin Carr, who's an athlete, former athlete, Sam Acho, Mitchell Trubisky, they sent me in that direction. And I got to give one more person credit real quick. Steven Souza introduced me to Sam Acho. Just like I said, organically, these things happen. So my eyes were opened to a new reality. Sam's from Nigeria. He and his brother and his family, they were a part of starting the first hospital in that village. They don't even call it a town. They call it a village in Nigeria. So for us to ride through that neighborhood in Austin and see it, and for Sam to say, this looks like home where I'm from, I'm like, okay, I'm in the right place because I need to have my eyes open to this. So then taking it further, By the Hand Club has elementary school, they have middle school already built, and then they're working on the high school. This facility where we're at in North Austin, west of the city, directly west, probably about 30-minute drive with the traffic lights, they're hoping this can be a part of their campus to be able to offer college courses. But through sport is the reason that I'm sitting here today with you guys, in this beautiful city that I get to call home, through baseball. Those relationships through baseball helped me get out of high school, sign a letter of intent to UCLA, and so on and so on, chase a dream, but give me incentive and influence. We want to give kids an opportunity to have somewhere to go in their community. That's not a liquor store. That's not somewhere that they have to be worried about running away from. We want to give something that draws them to. So Jason Heyward Baseball Academy is one of many partners. Chicago Fire's in there. Roger Goodell's in there with the NFL. NBA Cares is in there. With the basketball, there's going to be softball. There's going to be lacrosse. They're going to figure out how to put some pickleball over there. Anything. Riot Games is doing the esports for that sense. And then, of course, the nonprofit By the Hand Club will have their after-school program in there with tutors, nutrition. They'll have computer lab. So this is going to be a very well-rounded opportunity for the kids, but also me as an adult walking in there, I get reality check on, hey, man, like you have a lot to learn from these people who have a different walk of life than you. You can make an impact, but I'm also being impacted as well. And it's huge, like I said, to be able to give them opportunity.
Yeah. Are you seeing early progress too with the community and the participation and tremendous hope for the future with what kind of impact you can have?
So to answer that, yes. Of course, I got to have a story. So James Davison Jr., he and I got patched up through the Players Alliance when we did our neighborhood tour, our country around the country tour in the offseason of 2020. He was going to the University of Miami where my brother was already intending to play baseball there. My brother showed him on his visit. And now James is like my head of baseball operations. He's from the south side of Chicago, which is super cool to give someone else a platform.
It's great.
He's earned that to me, every bit of it. And that's a big thing in this facility is we want to give people from Chicago the opportunity to make it your own, do your thing. And so James and I were talking one day as we're leaving over by Grace and Peace is the church that's over there in that community that's been a staple in the neighborhood. We're leaving one day and he told me last time he was in the neighborhood, a cop rolled up and was like, hey, you guys are good, but just want to let you know, something happened over here, but all good, don't worry about it. Like he came in pretty much and said, hey, like just want to see where you're coming from. He saw the shirt that said Intentional Sports on it. That's the main partner of this academy. They're like, oh, you're good to go. And so to me, that felt like you had a Cubs jersey on and the cop was like, hey, good to see you, we just want to make sure you're all right. Like to me, that's a huge impact in itself. So imagine seeing other kids in Intentional Sports gear, Jason Heyward Baseball Academy gear, having that feeling and pride in their community. Like to me, that's what's missing, and that's what we want to try and bring closer.
Yeah. Can fans who want to contribute, who also want to help out others who aren't as privileged as they are, donations, website, is there anything you could give out and people can help?
Absolutely. You can go to my Instagram right now. I posted it in my story to let everyone know I was coming on here today. There's a sign up sheet. You can click on the link, RSVP. It's a registration. Just give us your information so we can connect with you, let you know what also is coming our way soon. We're hoping Baseball Academy wise to have our first camp January 7th. The other sports, the other partners will be doing their thing as well, hoping to have the keys by first week of December.
Wow.
For the whole facility. And then we got to get in and do some housekeeping, make sure we're set up to go. But donation wise, yes, like I'll post more links. Just if you guys and anyone just stay tuned, follow me.
Whatever we can do.
I mean, we've found that Chicago is obviously a city. It's a great city, a city with great need as well. But there are so many generous people that want to also, like you, help out and have an impact.
Our fans who want to help. Yeah,
absolutely. I feel that love and I appreciate that. As far as the people that want to help and get back, just everyone listening, please just stay tuned and I'll continue to send where you can do anything you can. It doesn't matter amount of money, time, anything like that. We appreciate it.
Jay, hey, we appreciate the friendship. You are a true role model. Oftentimes people tag that onto a sports figure simply because they play sports, but we mean this. Like, you're a role model. You're a great guy to follow. We appreciate what you talk about and the stories you tell us. Always, you have a spot here on the Waddle and Silvy Show, and we appreciate you.
Yes,
thank you so much.
I appreciate you guys always making me feel at home right here in our city, and we love it. And like I said, I love coming on, having these conversations, being real, being genuine, and to me, there's no better place to do it. Thanks, guys.
Happy anniversary too. Enjoy the anniversary.
And all the
Appreciate
best.
that.
for sure.
Everyone else enjoy their anniversary.
Yes.
There you go. Jason Heyward joining us. It's Waddle and Silvy. We got Waddle's World coming up next.
You're listening to Waddle and Silvy.
Waddle and Silvy on ESPN 1000.